Someone tells you that you did a great job today, and something in you immediately goes quiet. Not grateful, not warm, quiet. You smile, maybe. You say, "Oh, it was nothing," or you deflect with a joke, or you wait just a beat too long for the part where they take it back, where the catch reveals itself, where the real message hides behind the kind one. You've been told you're too humble, too guarded, too suspicious of kindness. But here's what nobody says out loud. You're not rejecting the compliment. You're protecting yourself from believing it. And that changes everything.
You are not broken for this. You are not difficult or cold or damaged. What you're doing, this instinct to deflect, to doubt, to hold generosity at arm's length, it makes complete psychological sense. Your brain learned something early. It learned that good things sometimes come with strings, that warmth can be a setup, that trust extended too quickly becomes a wound. And so it built a system, a filter, a way of checking every gift at the door before letting it inside. That system isn't sabotage, it's protection. And it worked once. It may have been the only thing that did.
The first reason this happens lives in something called contingent worth, the quiet belief that your value depends on what you produce, not who you are. If you grew up in an environment where love was conditional, where praise arrived only after achievement and disappeared when you fell short, your nervous system learned to distrust the compliment before the conditions were met. When someone says, "You're amazing," part of you calculates, almost automatically, amazing at what? Compared to what standard? For how long? Think about someone who was the high-achieving child in their family, the gold star kid. Every compliment they received was tied to a performance, a grade, a win, a moment of being exceptional. So when someone offers admiration freely, with no attached condition, the brain doesn't know what to do with it. It searches for the criteria. It looks for the fine print, because unconditional positive regard feels less like a gift and more like a mistake someone is about to realize they made. The second reason is rooted in attachment. In early relationships, the ones that shaped how you understand closeness, inconsistency teaches the nervous system to stay slightly on guard. If the people who loved you were also unpredictable, if warmth arrived randomly and withdrew without warning, you learned that feeling safe in someone's approval was temporary, a borrowed thing. So you never fully moved in.
This plays out quietly in adult life. A friend compliments your work. A partner says something tender, and instead of landing, the words kind of hover. You receive them with a part of yourself held back, not because you don't want to believe it, but because the last time you believed it fully, something shifted, and you were left having trusted something that didn't hold.
But here's the part nobody tells you. The suspicion isn't really about the compliment. It's about what believing it would mean. If you let it in, if you actually absorbed the praise, sat with it, felt it, you would have to update your image of yourself. And that is far more frightening than it sounds. Because the self-image you carry, even a painful one, is familiar. It's structured. You know how to move inside it. Believing you are genuinely worthy, genuinely admired, genuinely enough, that requires dismantling a framework you've spent years building. And the brain resists that, even when the framework is the very thing holding you back. This is identity protection. The self-concept clings to its own architecture not because it's right, but because it's known. Doubt feels like realism. Acceptance feels like risk.
There's a third layer here, and it shifts across your life in a way that tells you something important. When you're young and this happens, it tends to look like deflection, laughing off compliments, shrinking in the spotlight, performing modesty to preempt any accusation of arrogance. In your 20s, it often becomes analysis. You pick apart the compliment, look for its motivation, wonder what the other person wants. By midlife, it sometimes softens into something more aching, a quiet wish that you could just receive it, that you could let people see you as they say they do. The behavior doesn't disappear with age, but the relationship to it changes. What felt automatic becomes visible. What felt protective begins to feel costly. You stop being unaware of the pattern and start being aware of what it keeps from you. That shift from unconscious deflection to conscious longing is not a failure. It's an evolution. It means the system is loosening, just slightly, just enough. At its core, this entire pattern is a form of emotional regulation. The complement arrives, and with it, vulnerability. To receive something fully is to need it. To need it is to be exposed. And exposure, for someone whose nervous system learned early that trust carries consequence, feels like standing in an open field during a storm. Suspicion is the roof. It keeps you dry. It keeps the vulnerability contained at a manageable distance. The deflection, the joke, the "oh, it was nothing," these aren't dismissals of the person offering kindness. They're calibrations, ways of letting in just enough warmth without risking the full weight of belief. Like an old familiar room you return to when the world gets loud. The room may be small, the light may be dim, but you know where everything is. And knowing where everything is feels, sometimes, like the closest thing to safe. There is no instruction here. No steps, no formula for finally accepting the compliment with grace and moving on with your day. Because this isn't a habit you chose. It's a response your nervous system designed when it needed one. It made sense then. In many ways, it still makes a kind of sense. The logic of someone who has been caught off guard by kindness before and learned quietly to approach it carefully. What you are is not guarded. You are not cold. You are someone whose brain takes love seriously. Someone who doesn't collect warmth carelessly because you've known what it feels like when warmth withdraws. Someone who checks and waits and holds things gently before trusting their weight. That's not a flaw in your character. That's a map of everything you've been through. And the fact that you're still here, still showing up, still receiving, even cautiously, even slowly, that says more about you than any compliment ever could.